Hi, I'm Shoestring Jane. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about why frugality won't ruin your life and how it may actually enrich it. Here we go. So some people view frugality as meanness. They see it as just being miserly, being a cheapskate maybe. And it's not really about that. To me it isn't anyway. To me, frugality is about just being thrifty and careful and managing your money properly, good management, like you'd expect a business to manage the resources really well. We talk about the NHS in the UK, and how important it is for them to manage their resources. That's a similar mentality you need to get into. It's about lack of wastefulness and using what you have and not buying too much, just developing a thrifty and frugal mindset so that you're careful with what you've got, but that you don't necessarily deprive yourself of what you need and what you want. So it's not about meanness, and that I really want to emphasize that. And so some people think if they've got to cut back and they've got to suddenly develop a frugal lifestyle, it's going to ruin their lives and it's going to ruin the quality of their life. But I've actually found the opposite to be the case. So living frugally can actually enrich your life in many ways and give you back control. I mean, you don't have a great life if you're lying in bed at night worrying about how you're going to pay the rent or about the debts that are mounting up or your credit card bill. So if you think about frugality, try and think about it in a more positive way, really. It's not meanness and it's not about being a Scrooge. So I'm going to suggest 8 ways that frugality can actually enrich your life. Some of them you might have initially seen as negatives, but hopefully by the end of this video you'll see them as positives. Off we go then. The first on my list, the first problem if you like, is that being frugal means you can't buy stuff. And we love buying stuff. As a society we just love buying lots of crap. But frugality does mean buying less, but it tends to encourage us to use and appreciate what we have already. So, for example, if you ban yourself from buying any new clothing for a period, it'll make you wear what you've already got. It'll make you perhaps do a wardrobe declutter and find the things that you've got at the back of your wardrobe, including, and I bet you've done this at some point, those items that you buy and sit with tags on in the back of your wardrobe for ages and you just don't find an occasion to wear them, or you forget you've got them. So it will make you wear what you've already got. The same with books. I mean, who hasn't got books on their shelves that they've bought on impulse, thought that looks interesting, and then never found the time to read the book? So you can read those books and enjoy them, and if you're not going to enjoy them, you can maybe give them to someone else who will enjoy them. So being frugal tends to mean that when you do part with your hard-earned cash, you do it in a very considered way so that you buy things that you really need or will add value to your life. So that's a plus about being frugal. So, okay, you don't buy endless stuff, but when you do buy things, they really are useful. And on to the second way frugality will ruin your life, or you might think it will. You won't have anything to watch on TV. Because what most of us do when we're first becoming frugal and we're trying to save money is we cut our cable package, or we cut Sky TV or whatever. We start cutting those things out. So we think, oh, there'll be nothing to watch. The kids will all be going, where are my shows? There's nothing for us to watch on TV. But do you ever put the TV on, just scroll through hundreds of channels and you still can't find anything to watch? It's almost like there's too much choice and you miss the treasures because there's just too much choice. Or the only way they can create so many channels is because a lot of them are really dross. So do we need that much rubbish on TV? Do we need to watch as much TV? Perhaps if you have fewer channels, you'll watch less TV and go and do something more useful and interesting. So you could read some of the books that are on your bookshelf that you haven't read yet, or you can do some gardening, or go for a walk, or have a run, or play some games with the kids, or just get more sleep. How many of us are sleep deprived because we stay up too late watching rubbish on TV? Actually, we cut our cable TV down to first of all down to the absolute basic package when we were saving money, and then we got rid of it altogether and invested in a second-hand Freeview box. You can get free sat, and there are lots of, I think you use a Roku box in America, something like that. So we got one of those, and we got a Fire Stick, and we can watch everything we want on catch up. And we do pay for Netflix now as well. Although, you know, when we feel we get to the point where we think, actually, we've watched pretty much everything there is to watch on Netflix at the moment, we'll cancel that for a bit. We might get something else instead, or just have nothing. So if you're in the UK and you pay your TV licence, then you may as well make the best of the BBC. The BBC's actually got some brilliant programming on there, not just on the TV, actually on the radio too. So you could make the best of your iPlayer, the BBC iPlayer, and also listen to BBC Sounds. They're both really good, well worth a listen. So Fab Radio on BBC Sounds as well. So, you know, there's other things to do, and so maybe cutting back on your TV won't actually ruin your life. Number 3, you will have to meal plan and cook. Oh, no more takeaways. What a pain. So frugality does mean that you have to find the time to write a meal plan and a shopping list and cook some things. So you can't always just give in to a takeaway or Deliveroo when you're tired after work, or when you're busy and you just can't be bothered. It's a pain, isn't it? But in reality, it takes about 15 minutes to sit and write a meal plan and a shopping list. And that will pay off because you save a lot more time in the supermarket, I find. You save loads of time when you go in armed with the list. You know exactly what you're going to buy. You don't get lost in amongst the aisles of stuff that you have no intention of buying. You don't have to cook everything from scratch, so you could still buy yourself some things that are quite convenient but are still cheaper than a takeaway. But another benefit is that you wouldn't waste food. You don't tend to waste food when you've planned it into your meal plans for the week. So that's good for your wallet, it's good for the environment too. And it gives you the opportunity to eat more healthily. So you can plan in maybe some low-fat meals or some meals with more vegetables in it to just create a more healthy diet for you and your family. And you can try new things. So you might experiment with some different sort of recipes rather than go for the same old spaghetti bolognese or whatever. And you might find that cooking becomes a hobby and you start to really enjoy it, creating delicious, healthy food. I do quite enjoy cooking. I have to say, sometimes I get bored with cooking, and I have a whole array of things that are really easy to do. I'll have a jar of pesto in the cupboard all the time. So, you know, if I can't be bothered, I'll just do maybe a bit of chicken breast, maybe a bit of wilted spinach, some pasta and some pesto, and that's a really easy, quite healthy and cheap meal. So you might just, you know, investigate and explore simple things like that. But I do love baking. I find baking really therapeutic. And as you will see if you see my recent videos on jelly making and jam making, I really enjoy that. That's just something different. I love foraging and then making stuff from blackberries. You know, there's a whole big thing around food for a reason. People really enjoy it. So don't just watch the TV programs about food, actually make some, and it will save you money. So number 4 on my list of ways you might think frugality will ruin your life is writing a budget. Writing a budget is so boring. It really is, actually. I'm not saying that writing a budget is exciting or tracking your money is exciting. It really isn't. However, it's a habit worth getting into. It gets a lot more exciting when you find you have money left over at the end of the month instead of living paycheck to paycheck, or that you don't go into debt. You actually have some money to put in your savings. And there are loads of free tools to do your budget online. There are various ones. Or you could just write it down on a bit of paper. I have to say that I do have spreadsheets for various aspects of budgeting, like for a Christmas budget or a holiday budget, but I prefer day to day just to write my budget down on a piece of paper. I like the low-tech way, but whatever works for you. Writing a budget is not exciting, but it's worth the effort and it will enrich your life, not make it worse. So number 5 on my list is shopping as a hobby, and you're going to miss that retail therapy fix. And That's probably true. When you adopt a frugal lifestyle, you will probably have to stop those fun trips to the shopping mall that you do, not because you want anything, but because it's fun. You meet friends, you have a coffee, you just buy a load of stuff that you really don't need. Or you sit at your computer in the evening relaxing by filling your basket with all sorts of stuff that you just don't need and can't afford. But that's the kind of habit that probably has drawn you to a channel like mine in the first place, because it's so easy to overspend when you're doing it as a hobby and you're doing it as a pastime. So you could do something else instead with the time, couldn't you? Maybe you could check out the free attractions in your area. Most areas have free museums, they have talks, those kind of things, little free festivals and community events, and they're really much more fun than sitting shopping for stuff you don't need, that's not good for you, not good for the planet. Or you could shop from your wardrobe, you could shop from your cupboards and see what you've already got and just remind yourself what you've got and start to use and appreciate that stuff, or sell it and make a bit of money. Have a good declutter and sell your excess stuff. If you're really desperate for a spot of retail therapy, you could give yourself a limited budget in cash. So you might say, right, I've got £20 in cash, I'm going to go to the charity shop and spend it. And maybe buy useful things, so don't just go and spend it, go buy things that will actually add a bit of value to your life, or go to find a boot sale or a yard sale or a garage sale trail, something like that. You've got a limited amount of money. Don't take your card out with you, just take the cash, and once it's spent, it's spent. So hopefully that will satisfy your urge for a bit of retail therapy. And I have to say that's what I do. I really enjoy just finding those bargains. It's really satisfying. So number 6 on my list of ways that frugality will ruin your life is that you have to learn to say no. So when you're in the habit of saying yes about buying stuff and spending money to yourself or to your kids, to your husband, to your wife, your friends, to your partner, whoever, it can feel like you're being really mean when you say no. And I remember feeling kind of awkward saying no to a group of work colleagues who frequently all went out for meals and to the pub after work, and I'd kind of go along and think, oh, this is making a bit of a dent in my budget. And I was doing a no spend month and just said, well, no, I'm not coming today because I'm on a no spend month. And I thought it would be awkward, or they would think I was mean or miserly. But in actual fact, they were really interested in the idea of a no spend month. We had a big discussion about it. Some of them said they were going to try a no spend month because actually that would be really useful. They were a bit overdrawn or whatever. And they just accepted it. It was no issue. It's really hard to give in to your screaming child when you're standing in the middle of a toy shop or somewhere and they're just saying, I want, I want, I want. And as parents, if you are a parent, you've definitely experienced that at some point. But saying no to your children, learning that you don't just buy everything that they want, is a good lesson for them in life. It's a good money lesson. You're setting a good example. They can't have everything that they want. So you're teaching them a valuable lesson. And saying no to yourself, it can be hard to get going on that when you're used to impulse buying whatever you want. But I found it helps to have a goal. So whatever your goal is, whether it's to be debt-free, or maybe you're saving up for a wedding, or maybe you're saving up for a holiday or a house deposit, or whatever it is, if you have a goal, it's a lot easier to say no to yourself because you're saying no for this small thing in order to say yes and move towards this larger goal that's ultimately going to be more satisfying. So learn to say no. Number 7, you have to learn to wait for stuff. You have to learn patience. So getting a grip on your spending means you can't just impulse buy anything you want as soon as you think about it. So you might think, I really need that, I'm going to buy it right now. Or you don't even know you need something, you see it and you think, I'm just going to buy that right now. So by pausing and deciding if you really need something, then you might decide you don't need it at all for a start. But if you do really need it, then it may be that you have to wait and save up for it, or try to source it second hand. That might take a little bit more tracking down rather than immediately getting what you want the minute you think about it. You have to learn a bit of patience. And a big plus is that you don't end up with rooms full of pointless clutter that then stress you out and you get overwhelmed with stuff. And honestly, I've been like that, just overwhelmed with stuff. So even though my stuff may have been inexpensive and oftentimes second hand, I can still buy too much stuff and it just becomes overwhelming. And if you wait for something, when you do buy something, you really appreciate it. It really adds value to your life. When I was a kid, we just didn't get everything we wanted. I didn't come from a rich family. And there was that thing about asking Father Christmas to bring us something. Yes, it was in those days. And waiting and anticipating. And when, not always, didn't always get everything I wanted. But if I did get the thing I particularly requested for a Christmas or a birthday, or, I'd saved up for it, I so appreciated and valued it. And I even remember to this day certain toys that I waited for, and then when I got them, I just loved them and kept them and looked after them. So, a frugal lifestyle means you learn to do without and wait rather than giving in and getting immediate gratification. So it might feel like there's some kind of deprivation, but in the end, it probably makes your life simpler. So the last thing on my list of why frugality may feel as though it's ruining your life is that you have to buy everything second hand. But do you? So you might know that I am in the midst of a fully second hand year, so I'm not buying anything from new unless I absolutely have to, so maybe underwear, that kind of thing. But mostly I'm buying second hand. It saves so much money. But you don't have to buy everything second hand. A frugal lifestyle might mean that you actually buy from new, but you buy better quality because it's going to last you. I do find that actually buying second hand quite often means that I can buy better quality than I would have been able to afford new, though. So that's another good reason to buy it. But there may be times when buying new is the only option for you, and if that's the case, that's fine. Just make sure it's something that you really need and that you're getting the best quality you can for your money. But once you start finding second-hand bargains, it can be truly addictive. And then you start to really resent paying full price for anything. Well, I do anyway. Plus, by buying second-hand, you're having a positive impact on the environment and lowering your carbon footprint, as well as having a positive impact on your bank balance. So you don't have to buy second-hand everything once you embrace a frugal lifestyle, but you'll probably find you want to buy quite a lot second-hand. So hopefully you don't still think that frugality is going to ruin your life. And by not wasting money, you can put it towards the items and the activities that will really add value to your life. So perhaps you're putting the money you save towards a home deposit, or paying your mortgage off, or paying debts. You might be able to save an emergency fund. Every home should have an emergency fund. You never know when you are going to have something like a washing machine breakdown or a boiler breakdown. So having a fund so that you don't have to go into debt is really good. You might be able to save for one of those, or help towards your children's education costs, maybe university costs. In our case, we are saving for a very specific thing on our wish list, which is a camper van. We've been saving very slowly for some time, so I'm hoping one day I'll be able to show you us with our new camper van and what we get up to. But, I'm playing the waiting game. As I say, you have to be patient when you have a frugal lifestyle. So anyway, that was my 8 ways that frugality won't ruin your life, but you might think it will. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and turn on your notifications so you know next time I upload a video. See you next time. Bye for now.